Welcome to my show. As a guest here. Her name is Briyanna Dorminvil. Mrs. Brianna, how are you doing, ma?
Great by the grace of God.
All right, thank you so much for the time and the opportunity, Mrs. Brianna. Firstly, you are an author. You are also a mentor and you're a writing coach. Can you please, Mrs. Brianna, discuss more about yourself and how you are doing currently now, Mrs. Brianna?
Okay, so a little background information about me. In all honesty, when I was first introduced to writing, I believe it was my junior year of high school. Yes, it was my junior year of high school, and I thought it was difficult. I hated it, in all honesty. In terms of, I learned how to read at an early age. My mom taught me to read before starting school, but she would always do like these work assignments with us. And I, in all honesty, was like, I just came from school. I have homework already. Like, why are you giving me these extra assignments? And before I was complaining, but now I'm thanking her for it because learning how to read at an early age was very helpful. I didn't realize how important it was back then, but now I see why she was pushing us past our limit and making sure that we learn stuff that we possibly couldn't even learn in school. And I'm very thankful for that. Before, even though I knew how to read, I still did not like reading. I thought all reading was boring. I thought reading books was very boring. I'm serious with you. Even in elementary school and middle school, I would stay away from books like it was a disease or something. I would just stay away. I'm like, every book out there is boring. They're the same. I would not read nothing. And it wasn't until like my freshman year of high school when my teacher introduced me to I believe this youth nonfiction book. That's when I decided to give it a chance. She was like, if you don't read it, it's going to cost you your grade. So I said, okay, darn it, I have to read it. So I finally decided to read it. And when I gave the book a chance, I realized that it wasn't boring at all. That's when I asked the teacher, can I please take the book home? Can I please take it home? And from that moment, I just fell in love with reading. Later down along the lines in my junior year of high school, at first I hated writing class, but then I got more adapted to it. I started to love writing. After graduating from high school at 17, I noticed that every time when I would get some free time, I'm either writing or reading, writing or reading. And I'm like, this is not a coincidence. I think I love this more than I realized. Like, instead of watching TV, instead of watching a movie, let me go write, let me go read. And I said, okay, I'm keeping all of this to myself. I want to do more for society. I don't want to keep all of my writing to myself. I want to be able to help other people with my writing. Another reason that pushed me into writing as well was being a mentor. So I noticed that there were several clients that I would talk to one on one. There were several people that I was helping out online as well, but I felt as if there was an audience that I still wasn't reaching. So I decided to combine my love for mentoring and my passion for writing to become an author. Before, before I became an author, though, this was in 2019. This was in March of 2019. That's when I wanted to become an author. I decided, let me conduct some research before jumping headfirst into an industry without knowing nothing. Nobody's going to teach me the ropes. Let me do research first. Let me learn first. Then I decided, after doing research, it's time to start the journey. And I started writing the book, my first book, within I believe it was like November 29th of 2019. Throughout the year of 2020, I still kept writing the book. And 2021 was basically the first publication year, the when I first started the publication process for the first book. And then in 2022, after patience, a lot of hard work and sacrifices, that's exactly when the book came out, the first book came out. And I decided to go full-fledged with it. As opposed to being like a one book wonder, I said, no, I want to bring this to the next level. I want to continue to do this. So I decided to go to writing school. This was in 2023. Yes, 2023 to 2024. And I also had the first year of writing school. Let me see. Excuse me, at the end of 2022. Yeah. So at the end of 2022 to 2023, that was the first year. Then
Mm.
2023 to 2024, that was the second year in creative writing. So after graduating writing, excuse me, writing, that's when I felt as if no more excuses.
Hmm.
Let's take it to the next level. And that's when I decided to go full fledged with it.
Definitely. That is also very, very awesome. And that is the beauty sometimes in the life that we find ourselves. Sometimes we do not know that we have some quality within ourselves. And most of the time, it might even not really like that thing that we really have quality into. As you said earlier in your experience, that you really are the person who really not like to write, read books, stuff like that. And reading book was something that you now find very, very embracing. Even writing your lovely book that we'll definitely discuss later on. So that is the beauty of the life. There are some qualities we have, definitely. We have to just try our best to see how we can just be open, to see how we could explore a lot of things, because there are some little things that we do not value that really, really define who we are. I would also like to dive to your book, Why is Time Important? For you to bring out this book, as you said, you've read a lot of books. You are a person who normally don't do it, but you now read, and now you brought out this book. So, can you please, Mrs. Brianna, discuss more on this book? And do you also plan on writing more books in the coming future, Mrs. Brianna?
Okay, first and foremost, why is time important? Is a self-help book that I've written to help people not only to manage their time better, but also to dissect the lies, to dispose of the lies that society loves to tell us about time management. A lot of people within this today's society want to make it seem as if there's no way that you could have a productive or successful life without being busy all the time. And that's a good lie. You don't have to overwork yourself or experience burnout as a source of verification to prove that, oh, I'm successful, I have a good life. But I also wrote this in a way that was different from the vast majority of self-help and time management books. The vast majority of them would include a list of steps, but as opposed to going for a list of steps, I decided to add a creative touch and a creative flair to the book by also helping us to recognize the priceless elements of life, like wisdom, like patience, for example, integrity, loyalty, all of these righteous characteristics of life that time, that that money cannot buy, and that is very important when it comes to time. If you meet, for example, if you meet a patient person, a person who's willing to listen, a person who's obedient, this is priceless. This is something that we should be grateful for because not many people are like that. And I've also decided to add in scripture within it. Add in scripture within it. I'm very vocal about my faith. I wanted to bring more people to Christ and show them how adding Christ to their life will genuinely improve it and make it better. In terms of in terms of writing more books, yes, I have written more books. My sixth book is about to come out before this fall. I'm currently working on it and doing everything I can to finish up the publication process. So this book is definitely going to come out between now, I would say, and like September. I would give it between now and September. Still working on it, but I know for a fact that I'm going to release it this year.
Yes, we definitely also know that life has really changed in a very huge way, and it has brought in a lot of belief that we have to install. And the example is time. A lot of people, as you said earlier, normally believe that we have to just do every single thing, try to just give ourselves some kind of unnecessary burnout before we can get the productivity we have. But sometimes, most of the time, those things are not really, really important. I think most of the thing that is really important is also um giving thanks to the gifts of the life we find ourselves, and also trying to embrace every circumstances that come by the way. We do not need to rush, because everything that is going to come to right at the front of us is definitely going to come to us. And having a situation whereby we overload ourselves and give ourselves too much work is definitely shortening our life and also affecting us in one way or the other. And likewise, as we know, in the life that we find ourselves, we are definitely going to live one day, and we have to know how we could definitely manage the time in a way that we could value ourselves and also value the kind of God that we are also serving. So I also sincerely thank you for the beautiful insights regarding the book, Mrs. Brianna. And also, I would like to guide to the area where a lot of people are obsessed with productivity. As you said earlier, a lot of people believe that you have to just, do every single thing to just, work with time, even if it's 24 hours, to just have money or have a life that they want to live. obsessing with productivity is something that is happening in our time currently, Mrs. Brianna. So, how do you think we can shift from being busy to being purposeful, especially from a biblical perspective, Mrs. Brianna?
Okay, in all honesty, first and foremost, we'll have to change our routine by placing God first and genuinely asking Him, what is our purpose? Everybody was created on the face of the earth with a purpose, and I feel as if you're not going to live your best life or live the most productive life until you're serving the purpose that you're supposed to serve. And in other words, until you're doing what God created you to do. Because the purpose is the reason as to why God created you. This is something that you're supposed to be doing, regardless of assets, regardless of people's opinions, no matter what. This is why God created you. And I feel as if once we find out what's the reason that God have created us, then we'll be ultimately productive without even having to try to make an additional effort or living up to the expectations of society or trying to be something that we're not. So I would say the best way from a biblical perspective would be to put God first, pray and open up to God and ask God, why did you create me? Well, why am I here? What am I supposed to be doing? Because we can go about taking matters into our own hands and try to plan everything out by ourselves, but it's Him, in all honesty, that knows what's best for us. I admit, for me, for example, before I became an author, my ultimate dream was to become a basketball player. I had scholarships within basketball. I was coaching basketball, and I genuinely thought this is the way. I have to make it through. This is what I'm going to do with the rest of my life. But then God got my attention, and He revealed to me, this is not why I created you. And He got my attention the hard way because I didn't listen. I was being hard headed. But I'm very thankful that it had to happen that way because God knows how to get your attention. And later on, He revealed to me why that wasn't the path that He chose for me. And when He started to reveal all these things to me, it all made sense. I realized that if I would have went on that path, my life would have been much worse. Everything would have been much worse because I would have been going on the wrong route. That's not the route and the plan that God had for me. So I would have been trying to do things my way instead of submitting to His ways, which wouldn't have led to a positive outcome. So then I decided, let me ask God for more directory. Let me ask God, what would He like me to do? What did He create me to do? I went into writing, but I'll be honest with you, I didn't receive a confirmation from God until this was 2023, verifying that yes, this is what I created you to do: write books to glorify my name. And I'm glad that I received that confirmation because at that time, that was the time when I first came out with this book, Why Is Time Important? And that was the time when I just released my third book. So I was starting slowly but surely to move further into my writing career. And I felt as if without that writing confirmation from God, then I genuinely wouldn't be doing this. Even before that, I'd received another confirmation from God when I was applying for college. I was trying to consider other options, but then I literally heard a voice tell me, do not leave writing, do not stop writing. And the voice was so sudden. It was as loud as possible in my ear, as clear as day, as clear as me and you are speaking. And I felt such a conviction after that. And I said, I cannot leave writing. Even if I wanted to, I can't leave writing. So slowly but surely, I would say as soon as I decided to become a writer, God revealed to me time after time again, this is what I want you to do. Even in 2019, when I first started writing, when I first started writing my first book, because after conducting research, I'll be honest with you, I was making a bunch of excuses. I was giving a bunch of excuses to God. Oh, um, I don't have experience with this, etc. I was trying to make up a million and one excuses. But one of the things that I learned is that when God has selected you to do something, even if you make a billion excuses, He's not going to change His mind. He's not going to change His mind about anything. He said you, He means you. And I felt as if God was saying to me, if you don't start this book before the end of 2019, I'm going to take the gift of writing away from you. It's time to use your writing out of your comfort zone in a different area that you've never used it before. And that's exactly when. I decided to go for it. So I would say slowly but surely, throughout every path, throughout every part of my journey, God always revealed to me, this is what I would like you to do. There was always a confirmation from the very beginning all the way until now. And all of those confirmations came from prayer. So I would advise somebody to pray, genuinely pray, ask God for directory, put God first, and ask Him, what is it that you would like to do? What is it that you would like me to do with my life? What is my purpose? Why did you create me? And once we discover our purpose, it's up to us to master this. Now it's up to us to be the best that we could possibly be at it. And I feel as if that is by far the most productive thing you could do. That's the best way to become very productive without feeding into the lies of society that I need to be busy all the time. I need to live up to the expectations of society. Serving the purpose that God has created you for, doing what God created you to do, that's by far the best way to be productive because there's no productivity without growth. You're not going to grow within a comfort zone, and you're not going to grow doing something that you're not supposed to be doing. In other words, on the wrong path. You may get better at doing this thing that God has not called you to do, but ultimately you're on the wrong path. You're not on the path that God has called you to be on. So it will not lead to a positive outcome in the end. It may go good for a while. It may be working out temporarily, but in the end, it's not going to lead to a positive outcome. So I'd say the best thing for a person to do would be to place God first, pray and ask God for directory. And once they receive a response about their purpose, genuinely listen to God. Go from there, be obedient towards Him. It may not seem very positive at first. The beginning is always the hardest, but go for it. You're not going to regret obeying God because there's deeper consequences for disobedience, but there's no consequences for obedience. God is not going to punish you for listening to Him. He's going to bless you abundantly for listening to Him. So the beginning may seem hard, but go for it. God didn't make a mistake. God is not going to say, go right just to lead you into destruction. He doesn't work that way. When He says go right and you obey Him, He's going to lead you onto a path of righteousness. He's going to lead you onto a path of things that will surpass their understanding that you would have never expected. So that would be my response in terms of the first
Mm.
question.
Well, that is very, 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 very truthful. Like, I have to be honest with you. Even I myself can relate with things like this because I myself, to once a time when I was very, very young, I was this type of person who wants to just do every single thing. And the truth is, putting God first is very important. You know, if we have God and if we could definitely connect with Him in the way we know we can do it, then definitely we can be in a position whereby we start to see some things that we are not seeing before, and when we start to see this thing, then we start to know what we are, what we are brought on earth to do. No matter how little it is, we should just do it well. No matter how small it is, whether it's someone who wants to be a philanthropist or anything, how little the thing can be, we should do it well. And definitely growth will come with it because that is what we are brought on earth to do. We shouldn't look at the material things or every single thing. All those things are just things. In the next 2000 years now is another generation that will be coming again. So those things are just things that we just have to say within ourselves, but we have to know what we are meant to do at the right moment and know how we could build that with time. But the most important thing is God is very important in our life. If we could definitely be more closer to God, then we'll definitely see the path to do a lot of things and to put ourselves through to the right place so that we could definitely make a life that will definitely be inspiring to the community and also yourself, because that shows that the person is going to also be happy, because happiness will be within the person. You're doing what you love and you're also doing it in terms of the right path. And that is the beauty. All those norms of social media and all those things are not really unnecessary. How we could live the life in the right way is what is really necessary. So I sincerely thank you for this insight, Mrs. Brianna. All right.
All of these things that we are chasing are temporary pleasures. In other words, they may seem satisfying for a point in time, but in all actuality, they don't do anything productive for our lives. They don't do anything for us. Like, for instance, chasing after materialistic things. Let's say every time when I get money, I go buy clothes. Yeah, I'll have a closet filled with clothes, but what am I actually doing with my life? How am I actually supporting others? What am I doing to improve the life of others, including myself? Absolutely nothing. So, chasing after temporary pleasures will always leave us feeling empty. We'll never genuinely feel satisfied at all with anything, let alone life. And more of us, in all honesty, need to learn how to appreciate the priceless elements of life, the things that money can't buy, such as wisdom, such as loyalty, patience, kindness, love, integrity, humility, all of these things that money can't buy, as opposed to placing our focus on what society labels as important, such as likes, views, um, like reposts, retweets. These things may seem satisfying for a point in time, but they're not what's most important. And most people fail to realize that God did not create you to keep your gift to yourself, as it says in First Peter chapter 4, verse 10. You're supposed to use the gift that God has blessed you with to help others, to be a blessing within the lives of others. And writing in particular is more than more of a selfless occupation that very few people actually realize. Because when you're writing, you're not going to be the one that's reading the book. Other people are going to be reading the book. And when you're being vulnerable, when you're opening up, for instance, writing a memoir, I'm not writing it for me. I'm writing it for other people so they can learn from my story, so they can learn from everything that I've experienced. So we need to be selfless within our gifts. Some people, God will direct them to do something, and then once they receive the blessings, once they receive the money, they become selfish. But we need to be more selfless with our gifts and continue to do what is right within the eyes of God.
Completely true. And that's just this life that we are. Those things are just material things. And as you said, that point that you even made is very, very important because most of the time you are given this gift. And this gift is should be used for us to show this kind of kindness, love, and humility within the society we find ourselves. It shouldn't get to a point where we find ourselves to be more selfish and try to hurt others with the type of gift that one has had. We have to try to live a life that definitely help every single person and also lifts every single one up. Because if we do not do that, then I do not know how the community is going to heal with the type of pressure we find today. And very importantly, if we could definitely put God first in every single thing we are doing, which is what I always do. It's one of my secret ingredients. I always try my best to put God first in every single thing I do because I do know sometimes I used to normally think that if I do not put God, it's like I'm in a big trouble because from the beginning, He has been the one that has been giving me the direction I need to do every single thing I want to do. And that is how I've been trying to build this kind of humility and kindness and love and honesty because that is the only thing I know I could give to the society. And that is what a lot of people currently now needs that they want to use to heal because a lot of people now are being more obsessed. Depression, anxiety, suicidal thoughts, stuff like that are unnecessary. If we definitely put our mind to the right path, no matter how little it is, we will definitely find gold in it. No matter how little it is, we will definitely find gold in it. And we can live our life in the end of time like that. What that like it or not, we are coming, we are living. I'm going to leave this world one day. And it's what I have done that will definitely give the impact in the society that is find itself. And that's the beauty. No matter even if I have 100 million, it doesn't matter. I will die and it will leave me one day. And that is the beauty. Another person will have more than that. And that is life. That is life. So I would also like to ask one thing you think people can also take away from your book. Why is time important? And also, there's a question I normally ask during the end of the show from the forefathers, from the ancestors. If there is anything you would like to bring back to our time today, what do you think that thing will be, Mrs. Brianna?
Okay, let me answer the second question first. So, in terms of from the forefathers and from our ancestors, the one thing that I would like to bring back into society today is unity. Despite the fact that we were in slavery back then, but still, there was more unity back then as opposed to now. We didn't allow slavery to brainwash us into believing that Black people are unimportant or that we don't need each other. Now, despite the fact that some people were brainwashed by the slave mentality, believing that everything belongs to me. I need to be as selfish as possible to make it in life. The vast majority of us back then didn't allow that mindset to pollute our perspective. We didn't allow that negative mindset to get the best of us. We still did everything we could to come together as one, to laugh, to joke around, to eat together. Back then, we were so unified to the point where people will be able to sleep with their doors unlocked. They were not concerned about other people coming into their houses or breaking into their houses. But nowadays, you better keep all of the locks on your door locked. You better watch your surroundings everywhere you go because you never know what a person is thinking or what are their motives. Before, Black people were more unified. Despite the struggles and the negative things that we had to experience, Black people were more unified. Um, than nowadays. I feel as if this is one of the biggest downfalls of Black people is the vision. Because if more of us would realize that coming together as one, we could help each other. So when you rise, I could rise with you. If you need help in a certain area, here I am to lend a hand to you. And by being unified, by coming together as one, we could get much further in life as opposed to trying to outdo each other and trying to, be a better version of this person. We genuinely need to learn how to do things in a more unified perspective instead of thinking so negatively all the time. I know you asked for one thing, but this came to mind as well. One of the things that I'll genuinely bring back, if it was up to me, I would genuinely bring back the way that Black people were interested and were more aware of the value of reading. Because back then, more Black people were interested in trying to build their education, build their intellect, and become wiser people. And more Black people back then will be more interested in reading. Because back then, if they figured out, if they learned that you knew how to read, they would kill you as a Black person. Also, Black people would go above and beyond to build their intellect and to do things that people genuinely didn't expect them to do. So before they valued reading, they would put their lives on the line to learn how to read and to read books because whenever they wanted to hide any truthful information, they would hide it within a book. So back then, Black people were going above and beyond to read books, to build their intellect, and to utilize what they've learned to make a new invention, to help other people, to become smarter, to do more productive things within society. But nowadays with technology, you will barely find any Black person reading a book, barely, even an ebook on their phone. You would not find that. You'll be more likely to find more people on social media or on YouTube as opposed to reading a book nowadays. That's not to say that there's nobody out there that actually appreciates reading. There are people out there that appreciate reading, but not as much as before. Not as much as before. Before we had all this technology, you were more likely to find people reading books, whether it's in the neighborhood, at home, at their homes, or in a library. It was more common to find people reading books and to genuinely appreciate reading books as opposed to now. Now, the vast majority of people are not interested at all in reading books at all. That's the least of their concern. To
Wow.
answer the first question in terms of a takeaway, what is a takeaway that a person can receive from the book? I would say the best takeaway that a person can receive from the book is adding God into every aspect of your life. As opposed to taking matters into your own hands and try to do things your way, try it with God this time. Give God a chance to intervene within your life, and you'll see how much better your life will be just by allowing God to lead the way instead of thinking you're the leader. And this brings me to Isaiah 55, verse 8 and 9, where it says, God's ways is better than our ways. His thoughts are
Mm.
higher than our thoughts, and He knows what's best for us. So I would say instead of the greatest takeaway would be instead of doing things yourself and thinking you have everything under control, give God a chance to intervene, give God a chance to lead the way, and allow Him to show you where you're supposed to be, what you're supposed to be doing, and you'll see the impact and the positive influence that it will have on your life.
Honestly, I want to honestly, sincerely thank you for the insight. We definitely hope that unity definitely come back to our time. We definitely hope that we definitely come back together to have this sense of community because it is very important. That is the only way we can grow. Selfishness will not benefit anybody. Selfishness will only cause a lot of division, and that is what we do not need. And the most traumatic thing is division, because when division happens, then that is when a lot of things will penetrate, and we do not want that. We want to continue to stay united. Even if I am here in Africa, in my country, which I do not know how the experience is over there, but I do hope that unity is something that is very, very important. We definitely need to bring it back so that we can have this kind of love, care, and unity that will also be productive to us and the society. I also want to use this opportunity to sincerely thank you, Mrs. Brihanna. God is very important. Even I know, because even I'm a very big witness with it. Every single thing I do, with the kind of humility and kind of kindness I am doing, I'm trying my best to do every single thing firstly with God. And that is the only way that I know I could definitely thrive. When I didn't have God, I knew how it was really difficult. I mean, I was a guy who didn't have God during when I was very young, and it was really tough. And that is just the beauty. We definitely have to have something that we could hold on to, and this is very important. Thank you for the time and the opportunity, and also your book, your beautiful book, Why is Time Important? Thank you so much, Mrs. Brianna.
Thank you for this opportunity. It was definitely a great meeting, in all honesty.
I will run every day, Mrs. Brianna. Bye bye.
Bye.